Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Thank you for joining us. This is an Ask the Expert session for Featured Session 182, elevating the end-to-end customer experience with Dynamics 365, infusing intelligence from front to back office. We'll be going over some quick administrative items and then we will get started. How to engage with the experts. Please use the chat to ask your questions. You can post your question anonymously or you can use your name. Kindly vote for your favorite question using the thumbs up button so our experts know which questions are the most popular and to answer those first. They'll be answering questions verbally and over chat as determined by our moderator. They will also be providing resources in the chat, including additional sessions, websites, and other resources for you to learn more. We will be recording the session so you can view it again later. We ask that you not record the session on your end or take screenshots. Also, please do not spam the chat. Our moderators and speakers are doing their best to answer as quickly as possible. Lastly, we ask that you adhere to the Microsoft Code of Conduct. Please take a moment to review it now. And with that, let's meet our experts. Matisha, I'll hand it off to you.
Great, thank you. I'll start by introducing myself and then we'll just go around the room and each of these experts will give a quick introduction to themselves. My name is Matisha Ladiwala and I'm the head of growth for Dynamic 365 marketing. With that, I'll turn it over to Anantha. Let's keep going down the list. Kevin?
Yes, I'm Kevin Horlock. I'm a technical product marketer that's been focused on the supply chain and the intelligent order management.
Lachlan?
Hi everyone, Lachlan Cash, Principal Program Manager working on the Intelligent Order Management solution in the Dynamics group in Microsoft.
Vinay?
Hi, I'm Vinay. I'm a Group Product Manager working with Matisha, focusing on CTO.
Vignesh?
Hello everyone, my name is Vignesh. I lead core product marketing, the Dynamics 365 supply chain portfolio.
Yuko?
Hi, my name is Yuko and I'm a Principal Program Manager in the Dynamics marketing team.
Saurabh?
Hey everyone, this is Saurabh here. I'm a program manager on the Dynamics 365 marketing team.
Great, thank you. Did I miss anyone? Okay, so then with that, let's get started. We're ready for your questions. Okay, I see some questions coming in now. Great. All right, so the first question is, do we have a timeline for preview and GA on features? I'm going to ask both. I'm going to interpret that as both the sort of products that you just saw in the session. You saw two products. You saw customer journey orchestration and you saw intelligent order management. So we'll start with the customer journey orchestration since I can answer that question. So for customer journey orchestration, we've just announced that we will be in public preview in April. So coming up soon. And GA will be later in the year soon based on customer feedback. So both coming up very soon. For intelligent order management, Vignesh, do you have an answer on that?
Yeah, for intelligent order management, the public preview would be April 30th and GA would be July 30th.
Great, awesome. Okay. The next question is, does anyone have any real life examples? So maybe I'll interpret that to talk a little bit about maybe customer use cases, again, for both sets of capabilities. So let's start from the customer journey orchestration side. Vinay, maybe I'll put you on the spot. Can you share some real life examples of how some customers are using a customer journey orchestration?
Certainly. So we are working with a health system right now who are trying to use this, basically getting the patients to put on a digital journey. So imagine you have a clinic or surgery with patients who make appointments, and in these COVID days, you need to make sure they are free of COVID and any other comorbidities that prevent them from having the surgery. So you start them on a journey 7 days or 8 days before their appointed time, send them a mail and tell them what's coming ahead and give them a symptom check survey. And if they forget to fill it, give them a reminder. If they fill it, thank them, and then repeat that on next day and next day. And the message changes because the symptoms may change, or the day before surgery, they have special instruction what not to do to get ready for the surgery. So all of this journey, and also there could be real life event. For example, the patient cancels the surgery or something else happens that moves the surgery. So they need to be taken out of the journey and put on a new one when their time comes again. So that's the real life example that we are working on right now. And there are others in university, for example, and maybe Saurabh, you can jump in with that example.
Sure. Certainly, we are seeing some themes going on the world with how different folks are dealing with COVID. So we've kind of seen similar examples where people want to track where people are, whether you're on a corporate campus or a university campus. And just by knowing that you're checking into a building or connecting to a Wi-Fi on a building, you would know where people are, and that in itself can then put them on a journey. If you are getting into a building and you haven't filled out a health form or your COVID-19 information, then you could actually send them a nudge, via text or a push notification, asking them to go fill out a health form. There's a lot more examples. I don't want to take up a lot of time here, but hopefully that gives you an idea of how you can almost think of it as we are bridging the digital and the physical world by help connecting the dots between what you do in real life and then responding via the right channel to you.
Great, that's awesome. Vignesh, anything to add from an order management perspective? You're on mute, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I have a few use cases that come to mind, but I wanted to see if Lachlan wanted to add a few, and then I can complement some of the use cases.
Yeah, for sure. I can give you quite a few. We're looking at different customers that might be using marketplaces. There might be a traditional CPG manufacturer who ordinarily would have transacted business through a distributor or a retailer. And so now you're using the marketplace technologies might be out there, you're using different e-commerces. And so taking that order, having a centralized platform to be able to look at those orders, especially we've got customers that have maybe one, maybe multiple ERPs because they've acquired businesses, they've got different businesses might be using different business applications. That's a prime scenario in terms of having a centralized order management solution to be able to take those orders in, make fulfillment determination and get that order to the right fulfillment system. Some of the other scenarios when we look at fulfillment is that while we have warehouse management in our D365 applications, we know customers are using external fulfillment systems, whether that's a third-party point of sale for sort of buy online, ship to the store, or they're using 3PLs, or they're using some of the fulfillment capabilities in some of the parcel carriers where inventory can be stored in those locations. So where there's that complexity in your overall order and fulfillment chain is certainly where we're looking at addressing customer pain points with the order management solution.
Great. Awesome. Anything to add, Vignesh?
Yeah, I think just to summarize, I think whenever we see customers wanting to adapt to new business models, whenever they need to meet those customer demand in a much more dynamic way. Intelligent order management plays a very important role because it can easily bolt onto their existing infrastructure of enterprise systems, whether it is for order capture or order fulfillment. And so so that is it kind of it enables customers to gain that flexibility they need to meet their customer demands on time. So that's the only thing I want to summarize based on what Lachlan said.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. I'm loving that there's a lot of questions coming, but it also means that we're probably not going to be able to answer all. So, you know, experts, if you want to start answering some of the questions in the chat, I think that'll help us get through some of these. But in the meantime, let me bring up another question. So the question is, how can a nonprofit use D365 for not only donors, but also clients? I'm guessing that's a question on the customer journey orchestration side. So one of the experts in the customer journey orchestration side, do you want to take that question?
Okay. I'll take that. And here I'm assuming by client, you mean the people you are actually serving with the donation. I mean, donor is one client, but the people you are serving in the community with that donation is the other client. If there's no way to interact to say confirm that assumption, but if that's the assumption, then I would imagine the example I was giving earlier, where there's a patient clinic journey, very similar idea would apply to recipient of donations who need help. They will be communicated about, hey, there is a services available for you at this location on this day, or digital way to access. That kind of communication is one journey. When they access, there must be follow-ups later on to see if they got what they needed or if they need more. And there is a connectivity back to the donors who saying how their funds were used. So that's all of that can be done. That's what the journey orchestration is all about, where you are able to react to what's happening in the real life when people are accessing services or coming into a facility to get some help or interact with your digital resources, and connect that information back to other side of the coin, the donors who want to learn how their donations are used. So it's absolutely that's the main purpose, and it can be done that way.
Yeah, that's great. And Vinay, just to add to that, right? You know, one of the things that I think everybody's just seen in the featured session is this ability to specify goals for the journey. So if you're a nonprofit and your goals are twofold, being, you know, recruiting new donors and then potentially even recruiting new volunteers, you could have separate journeys that achieve those different objectives as well.
Yep, that's a great point. Volunteers are other set of clients. Yes.
Yep, great, awesome. Okay, next question. Saurabh, maybe this one is for you. So with the new journey orchestrator, will this be replacing the existing customer journey?
Sure, thanks for that question. So the new journey orchestrator is really about enabling new scenarios like real-time journeys. And really it's been built from the ground up to be able to respond in real time to user actions. So whenever you want to create a journey that is of that type, where, you know, someone takes action and you want to respond to them in real time, you would use the new journey designer. The existing journey designer you can continue to use for your existing workloads, like sending out the traditional outbound emails that it supports. So hopefully that answers the question.
Great. We have another follow-up question here that says, can you share any examples that are not health related, perhaps in a service industry that does on-site installations of various products?
That perhaps for the IOM, maybe.
Yeah. Lachlan, do you want to take a stab at that?
Sure, I was just looking for the question in the list, but yeah, let me give you an example. We see customers taking orders for spare parts. There might be a service business, for example, so you might need the ability to take an order for a spare part and therefore get that order into the organisation, determine where you might need to send it from a fulfilment perspective. In that sort of business, you might need to ask a vendor that is storing those parts. So you might need to communicate that over to a vendor and ask them to drop ship it to the end customer for you, for example. So those are sort of scenarios where we sort of see, some patterns in service, coming around where there's inventory-based scenarios. The other example, when we talk about an actual service, an order can have a simple description. So it doesn't have to be inventory based. So you can certainly take orders, for example, in terms of scheduling or order management. Doesn't actually do the scheduling. That's where you could use Dynamics Field Service, for example. If you've got field service technicians, from that point of view, depending on what you're using in terms of your e-commerce front end, you can certainly use that as a signal to get in. The other thing is that we are looking at adding features around subscription. So when you look at services, when you're looking at the ability to offer a service on a regular interval, you can often do them based on subscriptions. So we are looking at adding features around that model in terms of determining the communication mechanism to send that out to a fulfillment, which could be an external partner to go and fulfill that service, for example. So those are a few different sort of examples that I can think of quickly.
Great. Okay, next question. This is for the customer journey orchestration team. Can you share more about how the silos are broken down between marketing and the other entities? Are there any steps we would need to take to prepare for that change? Sub-question, if we had synced other entities to marketing, what would we need to do? I think let's take them one at a time. Saurabh, do you want to take a stab at that? Talking a little bit about how the silos are broken down between marketing and other entities.
Yeah, so some of the new things that you saw today are actually building on our current Dynamic 365 marketing product, where the whole idea is, you can take a lead that was generated in marketing and then hand it off to a sales team who can then take it further down and kind of complete the sale. And you can track those end to end. So we are just building on some of those core capabilities in there. You will probably see some announcements there. I think we've released some documentation on it already, where we want to open it up open up this idea that you can actually really market to anything. So any custom entity. Today, we do require you to market to contact. I think we've released some documentation that talks about leads, but the vision is going to be that in the future, we will kind of open it up to more things. So what you'll see in April is just going to be contacts and leads. And then a little bit after that, we'll end up opening it up to even more. I think the question was, if you had synced other entities to marketing, what would we need to do? Nothing else at the moment. I think, as I said, we are building on top of what is all out there already. So we should be, allowing you to kind of bring those customizations that you made forward. And I think Vinay may have some other comments he may want to jump in on.
No, just to quickly add to sort of what you just said. Since we are built on top of the same Dynamics the Dataverse platform, the entities that you have synced from other places there are all available. So if you have an order system and that order entity is in the Dataverse, and we will in the box, you will have the ability to trigger on changes to those orders, creation or some updates. So if an order gets created or something happens, exception happens, you can trigger a journey to, for example, send a mail to the impacted customer who was expecting that order to be completed at a certain time. So these kinds of integration between entities from other systems. That's one way we are breaking the silos. And also, it's not just data wars. We can also bring a lot of data in CI, customer insight, which is our other integration point. And all of that integrated information in the customer profile that's available from various sources is breaking down silos, and that information you can use for journey, orchestration, conditioning, personalization, and all of those activities. So that was my add-on.
Great. Okay, next question. Can we bring our own channel into customer journey orchestration? For example, web personalization. I know SMS and mobile SDK has already been launched, but to extend on the custom tile from marketing approach to CJO. So I think really the crux of the question is, can you bring your own channel into CJO?
Maybe I'll take a crack at that one, or Renee, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Our initial preview release, it will be kind of limited to what we are offering, but it is on our roadmap to be able to extend this and allow you to bring your own channel. It's more of a future-facing thing right now than what you'll see in the product.
Great. Okay, next question, well, which I think we've had, the order management team should also feel free to jump in here. So the question is, I have heard that the setup and IT administration of Dynamics can be tricky, requiring a Microsoft certified partner. Is this true? What does setting up the Dynamics CRM to be ready for users take? Go ahead, Lachlan.
Yeah, I can add a bit to that. I guess not specific to order management, but I think it's fair across all of our Dynamics applications that we certainly have different degrees of capabilities in those applications. We certainly have customers that implement and manage themselves. Both sort of, small, medium and large customers that manage the entire system themselves from that point of view. Really depends on the type of scenarios that you're looking at implementing from the application space, because that really determines the complexity when you talk about the functional scenarios that you're trying to get to your users, the overall project management. That's certainly where Microsoft certified partners can be helpful, because they can help you with the management of those projects and that overall project management. Certainly when you start to get into customized business processes, you could also benefit from a partner in terms of them understanding our data models, how to customize those applications. But certainly in terms of the existing applications out of the box, they're certainly configured for most common app scenarios that we target the applications, whether it's CRM or our finance applications or our commerce or our supply chain. Across the board, we cover a lot of different scenarios across the different applications. That's, I think, is best I can answer that question. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Okay, moving right along. Next question for the customer journey orchestration team. So, any plans to announce more social media capabilities within CJO, or close the gap for the export services in CI at the moment towards a marketer and business user, as CI is not targeted to these personas, for completing that segment of one targeting in social media ads or search ads? So, Vinay, you look like you want to take a stab at that?
I could. I'm probably not a full-fledged answer here, because that's an area we are looking into, and we do need some more feedback and customer validation to be able to kind of prioritize what's the demand and how well can we serve it. Because our focus right now is real-time interaction, which is more like interactions coming into us, and ads tend to be one-way channel at times. So we are still trying to figure out what are the real scenarios people want to do on that.
Yeah, I can add a little bit to it. Looks like there were like a couple of parts to that question, and It also talks about CI and some of the export services in CI. Today, with kind of the current marketing product, you do have to configure and export from CI to marketing. One of the key improvements with this new CJO is going to be those CI segments will natively be available as part of CJO. So I think we're at least kind of breaking down some of those silos across and reducing the need for having to export things across different products. They'll just be available to you. But we certainly have some more work to do around how we reach out to folks on social media.
Great. Okay, next question. Do you have an example of D365 being used in an education environment?
I can jump in there. Yeah, the good question to sort of maybe qualify that one is which specific application within the Dynamics brand, because we do have many different applications under the Dynamics brand. Certainly, it's a general statement. All of our different applications, you'll probably find some element of them within education. In terms of, we've got customers using, for example, our CRM sales applications. In the education, we've got our finance, supply chain, commerce being used in those spaces. So it really depends on the type of application that we could get more specific in terms of how they're used. Certainly, when you look at the customer aspects, we certainly have a lot of education type institutions using those for contact management, tracking, and building off those for those sort of solutions around tracking students from that point of view. We also have partners that build on top of our solutions that offer specifically targeted education market initiatives to K through to secondary, but also college and university type applications as well.
Yeah, that's great. And from a Dynamics marketing perspective, I know that we have a number of education customers that are not just sort of individual schools, but that are school systems and are using Dynamics marketing to have individualized journeys for each of the schools in their system. So absolutely, we have a number of education customers that are using the various Dynamics apps. Okay, I see the what's next slide is being displayed, so we'll take a stab at answering any open questions in the chat in the next few minutes. But Sharon, I will turn it back over to you to close out the session.
Thank you so much, and we really appreciate everyone's participation, your wonderful questions. Please continue to engage with us. We have lots of opportunities throughout the event. We have some wonderful resources for you, as well as additional sessions and on-demand content, product roundtables. So please have a wonderful event. Please keep the questions coming. Join us for our other sessions throughout the next 48 hours, and hope you have a wonderful Ignite. Thank you again, everyone.